Yes, I am going to, usually there's a thing that comes on my screen. So, okay. Hi, my name is Anna Bryson, as Chanel had mentioned, and I am a project designer for Michaels. And today we are going to make cute little yarn wrap card. So if you want to go ahead and well, I guess we'll do the supplies front face. Okay, so for you'll need several supplies. You will need yarn. And the yarn I chose is this kind of variegated, and it's got red and green, white, got a little bit of pink. You can probably see it a little bit, it's got a lot of fun colors in there. But you can use any yarn if you have string, if you have embroidery thread, any of those kinds of things it will work. Anything really small that you can weave around, that'll work. So we have that. So I'm gonna put this in here. And then we need some glitter sheets. Now, they're sticky back like stickers. These right here, it comes in all kinds of colors. You can see on the side, or I guess you can see on the front, it has all the colors here. I'm using silver, but you can use any color that you want. I'm just going to cheat and use scraps, but they are sticker on the back. You can see their sticker that you just peel the back. Makes life a little easier. If you don't have sticky, that's okay. You'll just need glue also. Okay. Or maybe tape on the back. Depends on what you want to use. But both of those things work. You can also, really any paper, if you don't have the sticky back foam, any regular sticky back foam or foam that you can glue, it just makes it a nice little topper. Oop, I just dropped it. Nice little topper. But like I said, if you can color, color printer paper and cut this out. You can, all kinds of options. Anything that you want to use to color on, cut out, add up here. It could be whatever. You can find something around the house that's kind of cool and put it in there. Magazine cover, whatever. Then we'll call it mixed media. The next thing that we are going to need is, now I chose to use this paint pad. And the reason I did is because the paper is a little bit thicker. So when you're making your card, I will show you this first one I made out of cardstock. And it's flimsy, but it works great. If you have cardstock, it will work. It will work perfectly. It's just a little bit lighter than what I would have preferred. Okay. This one right here, I did make out of this paint pad. And I know it's hard to see, the difference, but it is a little bit more firm. So for a card, it's easier to, keep it a little bit firm. But like I said, you can use printer paper, you can use scrapbook paper, you can use cardboard if you want to, whatever you have. But I prefer paint pad. So we have that. And then the last few things you will need will be some markers. And the only reason, I just chose these colors. Oh, I just poked my eye. I just chose these colors because of the colors in my yarn. But you can use any colors, really. If you look inside, it's really just to write your message on your card. Okay, let me get this out of the way here. Gotta keep hitting it. So that's just to write your message on your card. And it's also to do a tracing that you're not going to see. So it doesn't really matter. So then we'll go into our everyday household items. So you'll need scissors. You will need a round object. I'm using a plastic cup, and that's to trace around for the top of my ornament. Okay, so there's that. Oops. I'm clumsy today, apparently. Okay, so we have those guys. And then the last thing, it's not on the list. It's not absolutely needed, but it is a nice little tool if you have it. Could be a toothpick. Sorry, I was getting paper out. A toothpick or a plastic needle if you have a plastic needle. I really think a toothpick works better for this project. Excuse me. And it's not absolutely needed. Like I said, it's a nice to have. Most people have these. So it's like one of the best. Oh my goodness. I am having a day. It's like one of the best tools that I use in crafting. Am I upside down or right side up? Am I right? Yeah. Okay. So if we want to go down, yay. Okay, we can go ahead and get started. Sorry, I'm very animated when I talk, and it's when you got stuff in front of me, it's hard to remember that. Okay, I'm gonna put this light back over here, and let's get started. Okay, I have added our hashtags, hashtag make it with Michaels, hashtag Michaels classes, and hashtag learn with Michaels at the bottom here. Write those down, take a picture, whatever it is you want to do. We'd love to see what you make today. Your classes last week, your classes coming, in the future. We just want to see what you're doing. So we love to see what projects you guys are creating. So, and it will be covered up a little bit, but you'll be glimpses, and I'll refer back to it later. Okay, so the first step is we are going to start with our cardstock. Now the instructions that if you've looked at the instructions online, I did write those. And they're great, but I am going to alter them a little bit as, you know, to where when I'm talking about it's a little bit easier to follow along. Okay. So we're going to fold, and I say that because this first step didn't have you fold it. Okay. We're going to fold our cardstock paper, whatever it is you're using. Then we're going to take our ground object. And I like to use the top because I like to, because that way I can get multiple on here. You can go, you know, if you want more than one. And if you can see here, it's hard to see there. I'm hanging off a little bit on over the folded edge. Okay. So that's going to be the fold in my card. Then I'm going to take a, you know, marker, you know, a pencil, whatever, it doesn't matter. Trace it. So that looks like that. So now that if I wanted to, I can do at least one more on here. Okay. So that's what I'm doing. I just traced it. And then we're going to cut that out. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, it's easier to have a smaller piece to cut out. So now I'm just going to do that. And I'm cutting through both layers of the fold. Now, I don't necessarily want the black marker in mine, so I'm going to go just on the inside. And if I tend to sometimes bring it closer to my eyes, so if I'm out of camera, please let me know. I'm just going to cut these out. And if someone else, if we need another demonstration on how I did that tracing, I am happy to show. Just give me just 1 minute. I'll get this cut out. And while I was waiting for everybody else to get theirs cut out, I will show one more time. Okay. And then throw my trash away, and then you have your card. Okay, pretty cool. So I'm going to show that one more time. Did I have another spot? So I'm going to take my round object. Now I'm using this plastic cup, and I'm going to hang it off a little bit over the fold. Now remember, I folded my paper in half, and I'm hanging it over the fold a little bit over to the side. You can see right here, it's hanging off a little bit, and that's so it can have that little. And I'm going to trace it. That little the fold keeps the front and the back sticking together. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm going to cut through both layers. Keep my paper folded and cut through both layers just on the inside of my tracing. And that's because I don't necessarily want the black marker on. I mean, it's not the worst thing, I don't think. I just, you know, if you want it on there, great. If not, that's fine. If you used a pencil, that may have been a better idea. Now you can always turn this around and make this the back too. So this was the front. You can always go like that. And then your tracing is on the back, and it's probably never going to be seen anyway. So whatever you want to do. Pretty easy. Okay. We will need these scissors again in a little bit, but right now we can set them aside. We don't need them right now. We're doing all right. Feel free to ask any questions that you guys have. Chanel will let me know what you guys go, because I'm a lot of times head down, and she will be great at keeping me up to date. Okay, so now the next thing we are going to do is we want to create these little notches around the card so we can do our weaving. Now, this is where I use the toothpick. I poke these little holes here. And then whenever I was threading them through, I used the toothpick to kind of help shove them through. But if you don't want anything on the spine, you don't have to do it on the spine. This one here looks like I did a couple, and looks like I may have just done like a really small, like triangle cut instead of poking a hole through with a toothpick. So you can do either way. I may do one way.
Anna.
Yeah.
So Sylvia says her sides don't stay together. There are two separate circles. What did she do wrong?
Okay. So when you, let me get my paper here. So when you, well, let me get a new one, because that one has lots of cuts on it. So it might be easier just to show you from my fresh paper, or more clear. Okay. So when you fold your paper, you want to work on the fold side, This is where I'm tracing on the fold side. I know it turns around and it looks the same on both sides. I'm not sure if you cut it from this side or from one of the other edges, but you want to be on the spine or the fold. Okay. Now let me see. I'm going to see if I can find a better circle object real quick. Just looking around, something that's easier to see. I could just cut this cup, but that might take a minute. Okay. I'm going to use this This may be, ooh, there's paint in there. Okay. Sorry, it's dirty. It's got paint. It was a live paint jar. Okay. So if you can see how I'm hanging it off a little bit right here. See, this is the fold and I'm hanging it off a little bit. The little bit that's hanging off, that's going to be the part that's going to hold it together. Okay. So what I did was, you can see it here. So really it's just a kind of a more than a half circle. Sorry, that might make that circle look a little funny, a little bump in it. Not too bad. Okay. So you see how this right here?
She said that makes sense now. So she must have been
Good.
cutting on like the wrong edge.
On the edge. Okay. Fantastic. No problem. Anytime you guys have any kind of challenges like that, please speak up and we can get you there. Sorry, this glue or what? I don't even remember what is in there. I probably should have labeled it. Okay. Here we go. So there's that. Okay. I'm going to hold on to this because that's a really great demonstration. So thank you for that question. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to open my card because I'm only going to work on the front. And I'm just going to make those notches. So all I'm going to do is I'm not doing them in any kind of order or spacing. If you can see, I'm just cutting little bitty. You see that? Little bitty, like just slits around the front of my card. Now you want them a little bit deeper. I don't think I did them very deep. And you don't want them all the same distance. You want to kind of vary them up, some wider, some thin, some deeper, because you want this yarn wrap card to be interesting. If it's all the same, then you want some of its own little personality. Y'all, is everyone liking these camp classes so far? I hope so. They've got some really cool projects this year. Now, just FYI, next week I am teaching the disco ball ornament. I am so into disco balls. I am loving the disco ball trend right now. Okay, so now I just went all the way around. Now, if you want to do some on the spine, you can do it two ways. One of two ways, okay? Take a toothpick and shove it through, make a hole. It's a little bit more difficult to do that. And then you want to kind of, what they call reaming, like a bead reamer to make the hole a little bit bigger. But you're going to have to shove, you're going to have to use that toothpick to help shove that yarn in it a little bit. Or you can make little triangle notches. You want to go very small. See that? Very, very small. There we go. Very, very small. And now I'm going to just keep going that way because I thought that toothpick was a little bit challenging. And I would just do a couple. It doesn't have to be, that one was kind of big, but that's okay. We will keep trucking along. But just to make these even because I don't know why. I'm going to go a little bit bigger here. Might as well. Yeah, I think these are too big, but I'm just going to, just so you guys can see them. But I think these are a little too big. Yes.
No questions, but just a couple comments.
Yes.
Carly says we are having fun, and Gwen says I love these Michael's classes.
Awesome.
And then just as my observation, I'm seeing a lot of the same people that have been in the other classes. So I think a lot of people are loving these.
That's good. Thank you for that feedback. We love to hear you guys are enjoying this. Okay, I'm just going to kind of pull a lot of thread out. I'm not really sure why, but just kind of makes me feel like I can see what's kind of working on here. I'm a yarn crafter. So now I'm going to slide up through one of my little holes here. I don't know why. I just decided that was a good place, but you can start anywhere you want to. And then you want to pull this through. I guess that's why I did that. Sometimes I have a method to my madness. Okay. So then I'm going to leave it on the skein like this. I'm just going to leave it here and you'll see why in just a little bit. And then I'm going to just start rounding, weaving it around. Now I'm going to hold this a little bit taut, not tight, but what they say taut, just so it's firm. So you have a little bit of tension here. So it straightens out your yarn. And then I'm just going to work them just slit to slit. And then after a few, it'll hold itself. And then you're just going to work it around. Now to get in here, you're going to have to cut your yarn and then tie it back on the other side. Okay, I'll do that in just a minute. Whenever I feel like it's a good transition. Let's see. Yep, I like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to cut a pretty decent long tail. I'm going to push that through there. And on the other side, I'm just going to do with an overhand knot. So you take them both together, you make a loop, and then push these two ends underneath and through, and then pull tight. Now I'll do that again in just a little bit when I have another one. So don't worry if you missed it. Okay, and that's going to be on the inside, and we're going to tuck it in under all these weaves once we're done. So yeah, it can be seen, but it'll blend. Okay, when we have a lot more woven. Hang on, I'm stuck here. Okay, so my skein is still attached, and that's okay because it's on the first one. And the only reason I have that there is so we can tie the thing up on the end, or if we need more. If I didn't pull out enough, then I can add more without having to do another knot on the back. Okay, so I'm going to turn this back around to the front. I'm going to get myself untangled here. There we go. Okay, so I'm still working on the yarn that I tied on right here. This right here. Ignore the one on the skein. Now you can cut yours if you want to from the skein at this point. I'm just going to leave mine on for right now. Okay, and
you're a little off screen. If you can just scoot a little.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Thank you. I get comfortable and start moving because I'm a mover. Okay. So all I'm doing is just wrap. Okay. Trying to hit all the little slits that I'd cut earlier. Okay. And looks like I may have gotten all of them. Okay. So that right there doesn't mean I'm done necessarily. It can be if you want to be done. You're good to go. I'm going to keep going a little bit. And so I'll double up on some of this little slits I made. Just because I want more yarn on here. I want this to be super full. Because I just think that's too cute. Hang on, I want to go here to here. And you want some up here. Oops, where's my working yarn? There it is. Keep moving. Again, I'm just... Oh, I feel like I'm doing a kind of it's got some similar crisscrosses. So I'm backtracking a little bit. So I have so much right here. That makes sense. I feel like I need to go this other direction here. And maybe across. I'm getting low on my working yarn. Which is good. I try not to do more than two in one slit. Sometimes it happens. But this one, actually, I'm going to go ahead and put in this middle. Just like that. Okay. So there's the front of my card. It's actually this way, the orientation. Okay. So I'm going to open up the card. Just so I'm going to go ahead and cut this from the skein. I suppose we could have done that earlier, but we didn't. That's okay. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie that first end that I just cut from the skein and the last end that I just finished weaving from my working yarn. And I'm just going to tie it in a knot on the back to secure it. Okay. I'm going to trim the ends. And if the other one earlier that you had tied, if you tied them on like I did, you need to trim the ends so they can be hidden easier. That's a good time to do it. Now you can glue these in, you can tape them down, you can do all kinds of things, but really the tuck method works out really well. Okay. Because you can't really see it. You can't tell. So here is our front of our card. Now it's not done yet. Not done yet. Okay. So throw my scrap away. So now comes in your glittery stuff. So we're going to create this right here. Now, I did not provide a template, I don't believe, because this right here, a template's not really needed. Now, you can do a couple different things. You can sit there, you can draw out the shape of, if you want it to be round. So I'm drawing on the back of the sticker, of the sticky back foam. Okay. You can do that, or you can do I think it's a trapezoid if my geometry is still in my brain, or at least part of one. Or you can do that, just whatever shape you want your top of your ornament to be. And here it doesn't matter if the color gets in, because that is just the paper that's going to be thrown away. Okay. And then I'm going to cut them both, because then we can decide what we want to do. Now, you don't have to draw. The other way is just kamikaze cut. You don't have to draw it out. You can just decide, that works. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and cut whichever one that you decide. Oops, this one's kind of funny. And whichever one that you decide that you like, go ahead and make a second, cut a second one. And I'm just going to layer it on top and cut it out like that. And you'll see why in just a minute. Get some of these scraps out of the way. I'm going to move those out of the way. Okay, so we're going to take your first one. Okay, I'm just going to stick it on. Now you'll see on the back, you got this sticky hanging out. We don't want that sticky hanging out, because it'll pick up everything. So we're just going to take the other one, and we're going to go back to back. Okay, so what that does is it provides a little bit more stability to this on your top, and also gives a nice finish on the back when your friends, family, loved one, mail carrier, lunch lady, whoever you're making this beautiful card for, you can, it'll be beautiful on both sides. So take your marker, whatever it is, marker, pen, pencil, whatever you want to do, and write, wishing, whatever you want to do. This is what I'm doing. You don't have to write this exact thing. Wishing you a very happy holiday. And then I'm going to put Anna. So this is my little card. Okay. So yes.
Are you going to make another one?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes. I figured I figured I'd go through this one more time. Because, it's a very simple card. Doesn't take that long, but, some people may have joined us a little bit later. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this card here. I'm going to walk through all the steps again. Does that work out? Okay. It's going to be the same materials. So we'll end up with all kinds of cards here, but that's okay. Too many is better than not enough, right? Okay. So I'm going to start back, but I am going to backtrack a little bit more further back than this, because I think this is probably the most difficult part of this project. Okay. So I'm going to take, and this may be a good way to show that, how it's off the side. Now I prefer it to be a little bit, smaller here, but it's fine. This is how it worked out. So that's how it worked out. I'm going to still do it again. So what I did was I took a piece of paper. Now this is from the paint pad, because it's a little bit thicker, but you can use cardstock, printer paper, construction paper, whatever you have. Construction paper and printer paper may be a little flimsy for the weave. May not be able to get as much yarn on there, but that's up to you. Okay. So fold it in half, and on the fold, if you can see here on the fold, okay, so where you want to put your round object. I'm going to go kind of smaller here, hanging it off a little bit less. And then you're going to trace around it. Okay. And then, and you can see here again, it's kind of off the, okay. Now, while your paper is folded, and you're going to work through both layers. By layers, I mean this top one and the one that's folded here. And I'm just going to cut these circles out. Or this circle out. I'm not going to cut more than one. Now, see, this is right here. This is why I like to cut a smaller piece before I cut it out, because all this excess gets in my way. Okay. So we have this card. Now, as I was saying earlier, if you got a little bit of the marker around the outside and it bothers you and you don't want it on the front of your card, just flip it over. Now this is the front. Okay. That's easy. It's an easy solve. Or you can even go inside out and make it where we are when we're doing our yarn weaving. The yarn will most likely cover it. It's up to you how you want to do it. Okay. So there's your card. Base. This is your card base. Okay. So now we're just going to cut the slits in here in the card. And again, I'm not going even. I'm just cutting. Some are deeper than others. Some are wider in between. If you want a lot of yarn on yours, you want to make them a little bit closer together. But then again, that's if you want them just single, one weave per slit. If you recall in the last one, I had a couple of them that I put multiple yarns in there. I tried to make sure everything was covered once and then went back through. I think it's more interesting to have it kind of uneven to do what you want. So I'm just going to kind of change up my direction here. I'm really not even looking because the scissors in the way. I'm just cutting away here. Okay. So now I have all my little notches. Now I'm going to do a few on the spine. My spine is not as clean as I like it. So I'm going to clean it up a little bit. There we go. And I think the little triangles, cutting these little triangles out are a better option than the toothpick just because it's a little bit easier to thread. Keeps you moving. Now what we're going to do this time, if you remember the last time, we kept the yarn on the skein and we worked around it with it on there until the end. Let's do it a little bit differently. Let's pull out some yarn and just weave. And that way we'll have a little bit less, at least one less knot in there. Okay. I'm just going to pull out a good chunk. And if you end up not using as much, that's okay. You can always add to by tying a knot or or just cut it when you're done. Okay. So I didn't cut any specific, I just unrolled a specific, just a long, what looked like a long enough, but there's no rhyme or reason to how much I just pulled off my yarn. And I like to ball my yarn. If you see the balls, I know we sell them in the skeins, but I like to ball them because yarn sometimes gets knotted and I don't want to have to put my project down and unknot it. So when it's in a ball, it won't knot. So that's a little tip for you. Okay. So like earlier, I'm going to thread this through. And if you need to, use the toothpick to kind of push it through. Okay. Now, if you want to, you can add like a piece of household tape right here. I'm not going to, and the reason I'm not is once it goes through maybe 2 wraps, it's going to hold its place. And that way, because I'm going to need this later to tie the other end, the final end to. So it's nice to have it out. And sometimes tape can rip the surface of this. So I try not to tape and then untape if I can avoid it. If I have to, I will, but in this case, I'm not needing to. So I'm going to hold on to it. Now you can hold on to it up here. You can hold on to it wherever you want. If it gets tucked underneath, it'll be easier to dig out in a little bit. So don't worry about that. Okay. So I am just going to, just like last time, just start wrapping or weaving. I'm not sure if this is considered weaving, but I think it can be. And you just want to go all different directions. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. But with no plan is the best. And for somebody like me who loves to plan everything, it's a nice little change of pace. So all I'm doing is wrap, wrap, wrap. And once I've wrapped a few times, I'm going to want to go through another one of these. But you want to do it whenever you're kind of on your up. You don't want to come through the back if that's the way, if that doesn't go the natural way of your weave as you're going round and round. I'm just going to thread sorry, I went off the screen. I'm just going to thread this all through here. Okay. And then just continue going. Just continue wrapping Wrap, wrap, wrap. Where do I want to go with this one? I'm going to take that one out. I'm going to go over here. So like I said, it's not very strategic. I am just going. So it looks like all of, nope, not all of them. There's one. We still doing okay? Any questions or comments?
No questions, just a lot of people loving this craft and giving some ideas on what else you could do with it, like using a different color for the card.
Oh yeah.
Using the ornaments as name holders at a party or
Oh,
a
good idea.
dinner. But
Thank
yeah,
y'all for
everybody
sharing
loved
those
it.
ideas. Yeah. Thank you for sharing those ideas, guys. Those are all great ideas. There's a lot of things you can do with this. It's a fun little craft to, do with a group of people. If you have a slumber party or if you have some friends coming over for a play date. That's a fun little thing to do. And I'm just gonna wrap until I'm getting close to the end of thread. I have this like a little strange little gap here. So I'm going to cover that up. And then whenever I go up into the middle, it'll cover it up as well. Let's see. And if your pieces start to kind of fold up, just kind of shape it and you're good to go. Go here. I am not left-handed and this left hand does not want to work. Okay. Now I have about this much left. I could probably do another wrap, but it'll be tight. So I'm not going to. I'm going to push this in here. Into that one. Okay. Let's see. Maybe I'll do one last something here just to make that, just to kind of close that gap up a little bit. Okay. So now, if you remember, this was the working yarn I just wrapped. Okay. And then we have this yarn down here, this scrap piece down here. I'm going to keep it underneath these pieces. Okay, well, I thought that's where, nope, it's up here. That first yarn, like Mary said, it was going to be easy to identify, to find in your yarn wraps. Because this came undone, I'm just going to fix that. There we go. I think I just went off camera. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so on the underneath on the back of your card, you want to take your first end and the last end and just tie them together. Just tie a knot. And then I like to trim my ends, but you don't want them too close to the knot because then they can come out easy. So I like to have a little bit of, make it work a little bit if it wants to come out. Okay. And then I'm just going to tuck it. You can tuck it underneath. I mean, you don't really have to, but I like to just so it's a little bit, a little hidden. Okay. So there is our card base that's wrapped. Okay. Now, if you wanted to do an ornament, like was suggested, you can just take take your round object and trace it anywhere on your paper. You don't have to do it on the fold because you just want the full circle. Now you could also do different shapes. Do a square if you want to. That works great. If you want to do any shape works for your ornament. You could do a heart, whatever. And you could probably, I shouldn't say probably, I know you can do the wrap the same way with any shape. Just remember, have a part of it. If you want to do it in a card, remember to have a part of it that hangs off the fold. So you have that little piece here that keeps the two front and back together. Okay. So now we are at the part of making our ornament topper. So I'm going to do a round one this time. Let's just see what that looks like. Okay. So what I did was I just, if you remember, or if you're just joining us, I just cut a circle or a half circle. Now you can cut a full circle and cut it in half because we want two sides. So you see that side doesn't match that side, but I just wanted to show you what I did. But in order to get two that match, close. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm just doing this. I just put it on I put it on the back. because these are going to be back to back and I want them to match up. Okay, so now I have 2. Now, just for grins, you could, if you want to go with the circle, the semicircle, the circle is not going to be very pretty. But you can you'll get a penny, get a quarter, get something like that. Trace it, cut it, and then knock it in half. And then you've got 2 that should match up, but because I'm not great at free cutting circles, apparently, that's okay. No problem. Okay, so these 2 will go back to back on here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is going to take the sticky back off of there, and then I'm going to put it, oops, it's kind of stuck. Okay, towards the top of my card. Okay, open it up, put the other one on the back of the card, or on the back of the front. I know that sounds weird, but the back of the front of your card. Does that make sense? That sounds funny, but I am saying it right. Okay. So I'm a little off centered, but that's okay. So there is my next card. So if you can see, in what, 40 minutes, we made 2 Christmas cards. So that's not too bad. Once you get going, if you want to make multiples for your classroom friends or whatever, friends in the neighborhood, then you can knock out several of these fairly quickly. We want to make sure that you take pictures, upload them, have an adult help you upload them, and hashtag make it with Michael's classes, and learn with Michael's, because we love to see what you guys do. Sorry, I don't mean to cover. I keep like showing and I'm covering it. And we love to see what you guys are doing. I mean, try this with different yarns. Try this with, you don't want to go super thick on the yarn because it'll just make, the card will be really hard. But this a little bit thinner, it's called worsted weight or sport weight, is a good weight. And this is a smaller one like that. I shouldn't say small. It's not fine, but you can use a fine. The thinner is the easier. You can use, if you have some friendship bracelet kits, grab some of those floss skeins, and you can do the same thing. It may even be really, really pretty because you'll have more, because you'll have to get more to get the thickness. You'll have to wrap more. But there's that. So this is day 6 of Winter Workshop, guys. We have 12 days. So I hope you're having a blast doing all these classes. And I know I'm teaching a disco ball ornament next week. So I hope you guys join me for that. And while we have some time, does anybody have any more questions? Do we want to make another one? What do you want to do? What do we think? I bet I can go with it. I can see another yarn in my vision. I can make another one with a different color scheme. Does that sound fun? All right, I'm going to grab it. Hold on. There we go. That was fast. I'm going to try this one. This is one of the Karen cakes. Now this one's a little bit thicker, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what we can get. Now I crochet. Oops. I'm a crochet girl. So I grab my yarn from the middle, if it's not bald, and I'm going to find the end here. Actually, I'm going to cut it. So this is going to be cut. It looks like it's going to be a 1 color, because when it starts to change colors, it's going to be too long. I'm just unraveling because I want the colory one. I don't want this light color. I'm going to save that for something else. Okay. So and that's okay. This can be, instead of being an ornament, this can just be a, hey, how you doing card, right? Doesn't have to be Christmas necessarily. So I'm just going to make my slits in here. Okay. For those of you who may have missed the last few times that we did this, all I did, and I'm just going to show this for visual, and this is probably a great visual here. Okay. Folded the paper in half, traced the circle, and then cut it out through both. So then I have card. Okay. Probably a better visual than most of the things that we've been able to show today. And I'm just cutting these guys, and I'm making these slits a little bit deeper because this is a little bit thicker yarn. Now, if I was doing this with floss, I may do it thinner. I don't know. Maybe I won't. It's kind of, I'm not gonna say trial and error. It's just how, the look that you like. And I'm going to start in the middle. One thing I did not do earlier is start in the middle and work out, but that's okay. Okay. And I'm doing 3, and you can do 2, you can do 1, you can do none, whatever you want to do. This is kind of how I do it. For whatever reason, who knows? Okay. So that's what we have right here. Okay. So to get, oh, those are fun. I'm like, ooh, it's kind of like the way you make snowflakes. Okay. So I always start with one of these, and it doesn't have to be the middle. It can be one on the side. And then you remember I'm going to hold this on the back just for the first few wraps. And then I'm going to just start wrapping this yarn around the card or the ornament or the whatever you've decided to make your wraps. Because you can make it could be like the top of a, something that you hang in the window. It could be, or, make for mom to hang, or mom or dad or grandma or whomever, your favorite aunt can hang from her. Oh, I'm getting the same from her review mirror. I was getting the same kind of look there. I didn't want to do that. Now you can change directions like I just did. I just looped it around one because I felt like I was kind of going the same way. So I just wanted to change things up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna go. I get everything up. I got one here. I'm gonna go through here, through this. Something is happening outside. My dog is going crazy. I have a 12-year-old Catahoula named Daisy, and she's outside going crazy. She's not really going crazy. She's just barking a lot. So there must be some activity going on somewhere. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going. Wrap, wrap, wrap. And you can just kind of look and see where you need, I don't like that one. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to go here. And then I'm not going to end in the circle like I normally do, or end at this hole. I'm going to go ahead and go here. And I just folded it in half and shoved it through. So you can just enjoy figuring out the best way to make your yarn work for you. Okay, and there we go. Now I can tie more on if I want to, or I can end here, which I am going to end it here. Now this one didn't take hardly any time. That was because we didn't have to cut out the ornament, or the card base rather. By the end. Now these ends are already kind of short, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut them a little bit because they're kind of frayed. Okay, and then I don't really have much to tuck in, but that's okay. So then this could still be a pretty ornament if we wanted to do an ornament, and I am going to go ahead and do an ornament on here. And then since I already cut this one, let me do it just a little bit smaller. This side seems to be a little, there we go. That's pretty even, close enough. Okay, so now just take your backer off. So I just cut it directly off, but you can, like I said, you can use your marker and draw it out if it makes it easier for you. And then I'm gonna put that on there. just match them up. And there you go. And that's a little bit, just a different type of color scheme than a traditional Christmas, and that's okay. Or holiday. Happy holiday. And then just sign my card with my marker. And there we go. Now you can even put a, you know, if you want to get a little fancy and go made by or handmade, handmade by Anna Bryson. I don't know, something like that's kind of fun. And there's that card. So we have, look at all these cards. I know we didn't make 2 of them, but in this short amount of time, we made 3 cards. So, are there any questions or comments or anything out there?
No questions or any more comments, but everybody really did love the class.
Good. I know we're finished a little early. Not really, I know I believe it's either day 10 or 11. I want to say it was day 11, I believe is the disco ball class that I am teaching in next week. I believe it's Monday. And I'm excited about that one. That was a lot of favorite. You're using some of the same materials, so don't get rid of your foam. You need your foam, your glitter, sticky back foam, of course your scissors. I don't think we'll get rid of those. And then you'll just need ornament and pom-poms. That's it. Easy. So it's fun. I hope you join me. So I hope you guys had fun in the class today. Continue to do these classes every week because they are so much fun and they're beautiful. And we love to see your pictures and your projects. So remember to hashtag and show us what you're doing out there, what color schemes you're choosing, if you're sticking with the examples we gave, or if you went and got some colors that, that are different that you like. We'd love to see those. But you guys have a great afternoon and I will see y'all next week.